Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is the Mayim in Atlanta, and yesterday at camp, the bishop at Tazwam mentioned the Sambation River. And so I started looking it up and looking into it because he mentioned it, and it's a great example of Jewish fables. Basically, this is a fable. It's all just made up, and this is what those people that call themselves the Lord's people, this is what they believe. They believe in fables. They believe in lies, and they've been able to push this around the world. Their different beliefs when they're all not true, and this comes down to them just not being the people. And so they have to come up with lies and all these different legends to make it seem like they're the people, but they're being called out on these lies. And so this is from ancientorigins.net, and it says the legend of Sambation River and the 10 lost tribes of Israel. And this is where they say the 10 lost tribes have gone, even though they're not lost. These are the northern kingdom that they're speaking of. Today's terms, they would be called the Latinos and the Native Americans. And the scriptures let us know where they went. And so Lord we'll get into that. But let's go ahead and see what these liars have to say. So the legend of Sambation River and the 10 lost tribes of Israel. Deep within the realms of ancient Jewish folklore lies a tale of intrigue and mystery surrounding the 10 lost tribes of Israel and their elusive barrier, the Sambation River. And this river does not exist, and they just say that it does or did, but there's no record of this river. It's not within the scriptures as well. But it says this mythical watercourse, so it's a myth, has captivated imaginations for centuries, sparking questions about its existence and the fate of the tribes it is said to have protected. In this exploration, we delve into the enigmatic nature of the Sambation River and the enduring mystery of the 10 lost tribes. And so, as I was saying earlier, these are just fables. These are Jewish fables, and they push it like it's fact, like it's actually real. This is Titus 1:14. It says, not giving heed to Jewish fables and commandments of men that turn from the truth. Taking heed to this Sambation River myth turns you from the truth. The legend of Sambation River. The legend of the Sambation River is believed to be over 2,000 years old, or possibly more, and it has undergone numerous revisions since it was first described in the 1st century AD. This legendary river is mentioned in various cultures and Jewish writings, and it is a fusion of different tales that developed independently. So it's telling you right there, these are tales. According to ancient Jewish texts, the Sambation River was no ordinary waterway. It was described as a river that roared with tremendous force, making it seemingly impossible to cross. Legend spoke of the deafening noise caused by the river's violent currents, which carried heavy stones that obstructed any attempts to traverse its mighty waters. And so, just as a little experiment, let's just type this into the search. Sambation. 0 results. And this is searching through the Old Testament, the Apocrypha, and the New Testament. But we get nothing. Nothing comes up. says the river's very name, Sambation, derived from the Hebrew word Shabbat, or Sabbath, alluded to a peculiar phenomenon, the river's stillness and cessation of its raging torrent on the Sabbath day, the single day that jays cannot pass it. And so they say this is always, it's roaring viciously every day except for the Sabbath. So just once a week, it's calm, but can't do anything because it's the Sabbath. These are Jewish tales. It says even here, Jewish folklore. According to Jewish folklore, the Sambation River would cease its tumultuous flow on the Sabbath. But getting back into this, it says searching for the 10 lost tribes of Israel. The 10 lost tribes of Israel, exiled by the Assyrians in the 8th century BC, and that's actually true, which Lord will go look at that. It says, have become the subject of countless speculations and quests for their whereabouts. Ancient stories place these tribes near the Sambation River, isolated from the rest of the world. But which tribes were those? Did they truly vanish? Were they obliterated or assimilated? Or do their descendants still exist, hidden from modern view? And that's what it is, because these are the Native Americans and the Latinos, and they are right there in our view, but we call them by other names. And Esau's done a great job of covering up the artifacts and records of them actually being the people. Some of the oldest forms of Paleo-Hebrew have been found here with the Los Lunas Decalogue stone, and there's that other one that Glenn Beck was showing. These things have been covered up. And the one that Glenn Beck did, they try to say it's just a modern forgery, but all the signs point to the Native Americans, tribe of Gad, and Reuben, and then the Latinos, the other tribes, being the people. And you could also read James Adair, and he goes into it, where he spent a lot of time with the Gadites, and he called them, he thought that they had to be of Hebrew stock. It says, according to one story, the Levites, or sons of Moses, those are the sons of Levi. And they come through Aaron. But they say Moses here. It says, one's blocked by the river, whereas Judah and Benjamin were scattered among the nations. In this version of events, the Most High showed the Levites the way to the river for their protection and sealed the path behind them so that no one could find them. Meanwhile, a burning fire shielded the Levites from outsiders, where the river was calm. So you see, this is just some far-fetched craziness. It says the story told by Eldad Hadini is slightly different. A mystic cloud hides the Levites on Saturday, which that's not the Sabbath. It goes by the new moon. It says a similar account exists in Islamic sources, which might parallel Jewish sources that did not survive. The problem with these stories is that it is difficult to accept the Levites were separated from the Israelites and the Judeans. The Bible states that the Levites mixed with the Judeans and shared their exile to Babylon. They may not have been exiled with the 10 Israelite tribes. Although the Levites lived in all the major cities of the Israelite territories, King Jeroboam appointed priests who were not Levites. Consequently, the Levites joined the Judeans. And so, enough of their nonsense. Let's go to the scripts. So we're going to start out here at 2 Kings 17 and verse 6. Actually, we'll start at 1. We'll skip down to 6. But verse 1. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hoshea, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. So he reigned over the northern kingdom for 9 years. And it says, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria. And I believe they just mentioned his name in that article. And Hosea became his servant and gave him presents. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. So he did give tribute to this king, which he shouldn't have been setting up an alliance or allegiance with him anyway. It says, then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, so this is the last year reigning, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in harbor by the river of Gozan and in the cities of the Medes. So if any river, they could have said Gozan, but they just came up with some false river that they just made up. So this is telling you what happened to the northern tribes. And then after this, the King Shalmaneser put in heathen into the land of Samaria. And at first they had, I think it was bears that came out or lions that came out and attacked them. Let's see. Oh yeah, 25, and it says, and so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there, these heathens, that they feared not the Lord. Therefore the Lord sent lions among them, which slew some of them. And so I had to stick a priest in there after that to teach these people who weren't supposed to be in the Holy Land, to teach them the ways of the Israelites, so that they wouldn't get attacked by lions and spewed out of the land. But this is that's the story of the northern kingdom. They went away into captivity under Shalmaneser. And then heathen got set up in their place in Samaria. That's why they, in the New Testament, they treat the Samaritans funny, because those are heathen. They're not actual Israelites. Then let's see what happens to them after. And so after they've served their time in Assyria, this is what happened when they were about to leave. So 2nd Esdras 13 and verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes, the northern kingdom, which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hoshea, the king, whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And so the spellings are a bit different, but those are the same. That's the same kings that were spoken of in 2 Kings 17. And it says, and he carried them over the waters, so they came into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. And so everybody was dwelling over in the, I guess you could call it the old world at this point. And they thought to come here, in which it's called Arsareth. So they came to America. And we know it's America because King Solomon used to send ships over here, and it took a similar amount of time. It took 3 years for them to make a round trip. And we'll see the similarities as we keep on reading. It says that they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. And so they thought they were going to come over to a new land with no heathen and be able to actually keep the law, statutes, and commandments. But as we see in Native American and Latino history, that they didn't. They were doing all sorts of wickedness, warring with each other, as well as doing human sacrifice and going after other gods still, even though they came over here with the hope of getting closer to the Lord. It says, for the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood. So these were raging waters till they were passed over. And that story spoke of the raging river, but these are the waters here, they're going from Western Asia down around the Horn of Africa and then over to America. And so that is a difficult trip. And the Lord allowed them to do it and held the waters for them. But it was no river, um, no Sambation River that they went down. Or we're not seeing any names for it. It says, for through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, in the same region is called Arsareth, which I believe means another land. It says, then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. So they were, the northern kingdom was here when Cristobal Colon, or Christopher Columbus, came to the New World. And they remained here. They waited for the southern kingdom to come, which the southern kingdom did enslave ships. And so both the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom are in captivity together, spoken of in, I think that's Jeremiah 50, if I'm correct. Let's see, because they were prophesied to be together. We won't hold up too much on that, but so we see that they actually came to another land. And so this is what I wanted to bring up with Solomon and him sending ships over, because we could see these times are similar. And then we'll look at some of these words. So this is 1 Kings 10 and verse 22. And it says, for the king had at sea, and this is King Solomon, had at sea a navy of Tarshish with the navy of Hiram. That's Hiram Abiff, who helped build the temple. It says, once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish. So once in 3 years, it took them a year and a half to get there and a year and a half to get back, while it took the northern kingdom 1.5 years to get over there. So those are similar times, because they're just doing the one-way trip. So once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory and apes and peacocks. So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. And so he's getting all this gold and exotic creatures from over here in the western hemisphere, and then bringing them back to the old world. But let's take a look at this word down here for peacock. I believe it's Strong's H 8500 Takayam. And if you look at that word, it looks like a turkey. And turkeys are native to the Western Hemisphere, native to North America. And so you could see they were going over, in which it tries to say that it's an actual peacock. It even says baboon or an ape for Takayam, but we believe these to be turkeys, in which that would show that they did come to the Americas. And you look it up in other places, and they try to discredit these things, but this is what makes the most sense. Those 10 tribes are not lost. They're walking around and here in North America with their brothers, the Southern Kingdom, and we're all awaiting for Yahushua to come and deliver us out of the land of the north, and then take us back to Israel. And so the 10 tribes are not lost. This river called the Sambation River, it is just fables. It's a lie. It's not true. It's nowhere to be found in the scriptures. No one knows where it is. And it's just a fable, a myth, a legend, a lie. that these people push, but we're at the point where their lies have to be called out. And so, Lord willing, that was edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, or Chak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.